connected it to Zoom. So
Uh-huh.
that way that
Oh, it says
yeah,
it's
I could use the
live
chart.
stream.
Yes, and also so I can share screen too.
Yeah, and I'm hearing you talking, so I think it's great. The volume's
All right,
good.
I connected it to Zoom. Okay, hold on. So that way that there it is. I had to mute it on YouTube. Hopefully this works. I don't know. I'll look at it after.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just let me know when you guys can see my screen because I'm about to share screen. So hold on one second. All right, can you see it?
Yes, definitely.
All right, guys. So the way that I do my pre-market analysis is we generally will go over charts that will help us kind of find direction. So our goal this morning is just pretty much to find market direction for the day. So I'm going to go through SPY, SQQQ, QQQQ, and Apple. Is there any other stocks that you would like to review this morning, Ruthann?
You sound like you're on the right, but I wouldn't mind taking a look at Snow.
Snow? Okay, we'll take a look at Snow. And I don't know if you noticed, but we had a breakout. Remember, when I messaged you guys, you and Don, when we were kind of having that message, I told you guys we were breaking out. I felt it. I felt the breakout, and I'm going to show you guys what I mean about the breakout. You see that right there?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So this is where we've been consolidating at for so long. And look at this. This was here. This was when we pulled back, which was about a year and a half ago. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So about 16 months. So we were pulling back for about 16 months. We just now broke this area right here. So this is definitely a breakout. So this here, we're in the month of June right now. This was the candle that just opened up in June, and you can see that it opened up above these areas that we were rejecting.
Yes.
We were rejecting here. We even rejected here, even though we had this little piece where we came up close. You can see that we're in August, we closed below this area right here. Okay, we rejected here. All of these are rejections. And then finally, we just broke out of this area here. So that's kind of where we're at in SPY when I look at the long term. I mean, remember, guys, when these breakouts occur, you will have a breakout, but at some point it'll come back and test this area because this was resistance. Rejection, resistance, rejection, resistance, resistance, resistance. Now we finally broke above the resistance, so it will at some point come back and test as support. So
what's that number, Desiree?
So once it comes back here and tests as new support, this would be a good entry here. Because remember, your entries you want to get at support. So this is around like 418.
Okay.
I would say about 418-ish. And you can even see here prior to the this was kind of like a support around this area. See how it broke, but it was holding this area as support, then it fell through, then it became resistance, and now it's support again. So that's kind of like where we're at with SPY. So we're in a breakout right now. And let's take a look at the weekly chart here. And you can even see the breakout here. You can see this low, you could see higher, and even we stayed above the 200 MA all this time, even though we was coming back and testing the 200 MA as support here, you can see the breakout once it pushed above this resistance area. So this is the area that I just mentioned on the monthly, Ruthann. See, this is the resistance, breakout. And it does appear that we still have more room to go. Look at the way that this RSI is moving up. You see that right there? Yep. So for the new, I mean, with the breakout, you'll probably get, it does look like it's more room to keep going. But we'll take a look at the next resistance area, because at some point you're going to get a rejection because you're going to come back here and test this area as new support. So this will become new support, which would be a good entry. It'll be a safe entry, for those that are looking at going long. But let's look at the next area for possible rejection. So we're looking at here, this is 453, 453.48 is, yeah, because you can see here it was resistance, and you can see here it's support, resistance, resistance. So remember, if it's resistance, then becomes support, then resistance, then becomes support again. That's how you know that the area is solid. Okay, so rejection or resistance, support, resistance, resistance. And you can even see here when it fell through, it hasn't even made its way back up here since the pullback about 16 months ago. Right. So I do see us going here. I'm going to look at some of the other time frames, but I do see that we have room to keep going, you know, quite a bit here. Let's look at the daily right now. So the daily is overbought. The daily is overbought, but you can see here, I don't know, in my opinion, just based on the strength and this breakout, like on the higher time frames, the pullback on the daily is going to be necessary, but I think we're going to continue to create patterns, because look at this rejection, you have this, all of this rejection here, but you can even see this mini flag and you can see the breakout. So even at a pullback, like, I mean, on the daily, we're looking at about 429. Okay. Now we're going into the daily. So of course, remember, it's all multi-time frame analysis. So as you go down in lower time frames, your support and resistance will be a little different. Okay, so the gaps will be a lot smaller. So right here, this was the breakout. You see here, which was around like 430. And you had these several days of consolidation because you broke out of this area, you came up, consolidated, and broke out. So right now, what I think is, because we're going to have to pull back, we're going to have to pull back, you know, short term on the daily, because we're extremely overbought. So coming back and retesting 429 is probably, will probably be more ideal, just depending on the strength. Because sometimes when these stocks have like massive amount of strength, the pullback can be very short term. Right. So, but for me, like on the daily, just based on like how overbought we are, I think that it's possible that we will, you know, possibly pull back here to 428, around like 428.42. But, you know, long term, I can see us taking it to about 453 before we come back and test the new level as the new support. Because this level here, 417 on the higher time frames, would be the retest, because this was the area that we continue to reject for a long time. Reject, reject, reject. And remember, reject and resistance is pretty much the same thing. So once we broke this resistance area, we had a big breakout. So coming back to test the resistance would be more than likely what happens at some point. But I think the breakout, I think at some point we're going to take it all the way up here to around like 450 before we have that big pullback back down to test the new resistance as support, or the resistance as new support. Sorry. All right. Are you following? Are you guys, well, are you following? Yes, right. I agree. So yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. I want to look at today though. Yeah. And kind of see where we're at today. All right, so we're at a high. Let's just look at today's levels right now. So this was the high we hit, 443. We did pull back yesterday. Yes. So let's look at resistance here. And I'm going to look at SQQQ just to kind of confirm to make sure that they're going in opposition here. Yeah. So this right now, so this is the support and the resistance, because that was a big breakout right here. So right here, and you can even see that this is what you call, this is the doji right here, but this dojis could represent two things. So a doji can be a change in direction, or it also could just like, it's a continuation. So this was a continuation doji right here, which is why you had this big breakout here. But as you can see, as we hit this high, it rejected this area and it's coming back down. So this is your new support here, which is 436.68. So take a look at this level here on the higher time frames. Yeah, it's and you can see here, this is pre-market, guys. So you can see the market moving right now. It's coming back to this 436. Yeah, it's coming back to 436.45, which is the support right now. but I think it's still strong. As long as we can stay above this 50 line on the slow RSI, this is gonna signify strength here. We're pretty strong. Like you can even see that this is a pole and this is a flag that it's creating. And I have here, this is the base, which this is the support. And this is for the lower time frames, guys. You can't get it confused with the higher time frames versus the lower time frames. So initially with the higher time frames, we're looking at the overall perspective of where we're at. So the gaps are going to be higher from the support to the resistance. But when you go into your lower time frames, which is like your daily, your 4 hour, your hourly, your support and resistance, the gaps are going to be a lot smaller because now we're looking at what's happening day to day versus what's happening month to month. Okay, so you can't get it confused with the support and resistance. But if you join my show every single morning, you'll start to understand more and more and more, and it will click. I promise. Okay.
Yes.
But right now it's a whole nother language, right? And I'm doing multi-time frame analysis. So when I'm doing my analysis, I'm going from the top to the bottom. So the support and the resistance is going to be different depending on what time frame I'm on, but it's giving me a clue of where we're at overall. But primarily, we want to look at what's going on today. And like I said, I am still seeing some strength here. I do see that this is the support because this was the breakout right here. That was the breakout. So the thing about breakouts is that generally before a breakout, there's going to be multiple rejections. You'll have a lot of rejections, and then the breakout will occur. Once the breakout occurs, it comes and tests that rejection area, but as a new support, as a new foundation. Okay, so you can see here on the smaller time frames, this here, we were kind of like, we broke, okay, so you could see how all of this consolidation was happening, and then we broke out. Consolidation, now we broke out. Now we're coming back down to test this level that we just broke out as now the new floor. And that's what it appears. But let's look at the hour to see if we want to hold it. I do like the fact that we're above the 200 MA. You can see that there is a lot of strength in SPY right now. You can see a lot of strength, and that's because we're in a breakout. When you get a breakout on the higher time frames, you're gonna see a lot of strength on the lower time frames. So you can see even here, we're above the 200 MA, right? And you got the breakout. We're coming back down here. This is the support level, but now look at this. What's crazy is it always aligns. So remember, this was the breakout. We came back up. This is the new floor, and now we're down here. So with the slow RSI, why I like using the slow RSI, because I know what comes down must go up. What goes up must come down. So if I see that this is now, we broke out, which this was the resistance, we broke out, we come back down, test, now this is the floor, this is the new support, we're above the 200 MA, and we're down here at like 20. So this right here shows me that we possibly may want to keep running. You know, it's very possible that we keep running because right now we're very strong. But again, I'm going to take a look at SQQQ just to kind of confirm the direction to make sure that it's going in the opposite way. And also I want to look at Apple too.
Yes.
All right, so let's look at the 30-minute. Yep, see here, even on the lower time frames, you see here that we're pointing up, right? We're down here on the bottom. Right now, we're above the 200 MA. I like to stay above the 200 MA. Like anytime the stock falls below the 200 MA, it does signal weakness to me. But as long as we can stay above it, we may continue to keep going. So right now, even though the daily is overbought, even though we had that pullback, this run is so strong and breaking out on the higher time frames, we're right here right now. So yes, we are going to be opening up lower today. This is the thing, if we fall below this level here, which is 436.8, more than likely we're going to take it down to the next support, guys. Okay, so you always got to have a backup. This is your level of confirmation right now. If we hold this 437.18, then more than likely we're going to take it back up to the next resistance. If we fall below this level, then we're going to be taking it, more than likely taking it back down to the next support. So you kind of got to watch the way the stock moves. In my opinion, because we're so strong, I could see us holding this area here and then taking it back up to the next resistance level, which is up here again. And that's about 443, but you really need to see if this area holds. Because if this area does not hold here, it's going to fall below the 200 MA on the 30-minute chart. I don't like to see stocks falling below the 200 MA right here. So that would be your area here to see where we want to go. And that's where patience come in. You need to see if we hold this area. If we hold this 436.5, then more than likely we're taking it up. If we don't hold it, we got to take it back down to the next floor. And this is the next floor here, which is 429.9. If we hold it, we're going to stay above this 50 line here on the slow RSI, and this is the 4-hour chart. So if we hold it, that means it's signaling there's still more strength. If we fall below, we're going to more than likely take it below this area, and it could signal weakness. Anything below this on the 4-hour chart, in my opinion, and remember, time frames matter. So depending on the time frame, yeah, we're at 20 on the hourly. Yeah, we're at 20 on the 30-minute here on the slow RSI, but that's smaller time frames. Okay, now we're getting into just a little bit higher, which is the 4-hour here, because it could be mixed signals, because with the daily you're overbought, with the 4-hour you're coming down, but it's okay if the daily is overbought. If the lower time frames are still signaling strength, even though the daily is overbought, the daily could be overbought for days, weeks, right? So you kind of got to put 2 and 2 together. But let's take a look at SQQQ, guys. For right now, what I see in SPY overall is we're breaking out on the higher time frame. So it's a massive amount of strength right now with SPY. But remember, pullbacks are necessary. We have to pull back. Once it gets exhausted, then stocks have to pull back. But in my opinion, and from my experience, when breakouts occur, they can just keep going and going and going. So that's why we went to the higher time frames to see what are the next levels. Like, what are we looking at on the next levels of, where it could possibly head. So with this breakout here, looking at about 450, 455 is what, I see that we could potentially go all the way up to before we pull back to the next support down here at 430 to retest this area, because this was rejection for a long time. But that's just on the higher time frames here of what could what could happen within the next month or so. All right, so let's look at SQQQ. Yeah, so look at SQQQ. You can even see here opposite happens. So see, we're below this area here. This was the support that it was holding, which was around like 32. This was like during the pullback area, and it was holding. It fell below. SQQQ is going to move in opposite of SPY. So if SQQQ is telling me that we're trash, then SPY is, and then more than likely SPY is going to be going up, right? Because they go in opposite, because SQQQ is really just inverse of QQQ. QQQ is an equity that follows SPY, okay? So yeah. You can even see here this low of 18.73 right here. Yeah, it's pretty low. Like, this is low. Let's look at the we're gonna have to create new levels here with SQQQ.
Yep. Never seen it.
Yeah, because that was the level here that it fell.
You like that?
Right here, we're at the low. It's crazy. It's overbought. Look at this. It's overbought, right? And you're still below the 200 MA.
Yeah.
Remember, SPY is opposite. SPY is oversold. You see them down here on the 30-minute, right? But they're above the 200 MA. So they're oversold down here, but above the 200 MA, which is signaling strength. Right now, SQQQ is below the 200 MA and they're overbought. That's showing me weakness. There's weakness here. And that confirms the strength in SPY, right? So that helps me confirm what I see in SPY already, especially if I see the weakness here in SQQQ. And you can see that it goes up here, there's a high, and then it starts creating lower highs, right? And we're trying to come up, but we're rejecting this 200 MA right here. We're rejecting it. That's why I told you that support in SPY on the lower time frames, it could most likely hold, which is this area right here, the 436.5. This is the area that I'm telling you guys to pay attention to, because this 436.5 is going to determine if we're going to take it back down to the next support, or if we want to take it back to the next, or if we want to take it back up here to the resistance again. But in my opinion, it's, you know, with SQQQ being the way it is right now, below the 200 MA, it's falling below levels. SPY, it's showing me the strength in SPY. Okay, guys. But again, you have to really watch to see where the market is going. If it falls below, you're taking it down. If it stays above, more than likely you're taking it up. Okay. But let's take a look at QQQ, just because QQQ is really inverse of SQQQ. If QQQ is going up, SQQQ is going down. Okay. All right. So we'll take let's go from the beginning with QQQ. All right. So let's clear out here. All right. All right, so here, this was the same time around where SPY pulled back, right? And remember, guys, we started the pullback about 16 months ago. I think I calculated, or somewhere around there. So we started pulling back here, right? You got this consolidation, you broke above, and QQQ has been going, but at some point, QQQ is going to have to pull back too. Here, this was the last time that this here was a resistance wall, right? So this was a resistance wall. Resistance, when you think resistance is nothing but rejection. Okay. So rejection, rejection, rejection. It rejected and then it fell back down. Now we're back up at that wall here. See, the last time it rejected 3 months in a row, because we're on the monthly chart now. 1, 2, 3 months of rejection. We're coming back up here. So for the month of June, what's going to happen is either this is going to break through and we're going to close above, right? And this would be the new floor. Or we're going to close below this level and it's going to reject again, because it did reject in the past and we have been going for some time. But let's take a look at the weekly here. So yeah, there's still a lot of strength though, but we've been going for so long here. We've been going for a long time with SQQQ. We're above the 200 MA here. This was the floor. Let's look at new levels here for the weekly chart though. This. This is the new support right now. So the new support for QQQ is 360.12.
Thank you.
The resistance is 374.7. But remember, I'm looking on the weekly chart. So this is what I'm looking at when I'm thinking about the next few days or the next few weeks, okay, of how we're going to move. But to be honest, the way this looks, we could be consolidating in this zone here, right? So taking it, so once it takes it here to 379, you get your rejection, you come back down to the floor to around 360, which we'll look at the lower time frames that kind of confirm this. But this looks like this could be a legit consolidation area. And remember, the way stocks move is they go from support to resistance, support to resistance, support to resistance, you know, support to resistance until there's a breakout that occurs. So it could either break above or it could fall below, just depending on the strength. And right now we do have strength, but we've been going for some time with SQQQ2. These are weeks. So this is 1 week, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It's been 14 weeks that we had this little run with SQQQ. If we fall below this level and reject it, then of course you'd come back down to the next support. But right now we're not there. Right now we're here and we're still in the month of June. So if we close above this level here in the month of June, then we're more than likely going to hold it. And you can see we pulled back with SPY yesterday, but I mean, even if we pull back more today, we still got more room here. This is the next level of support that we calculated with this, which is 359, and it closed at 368. Let's see where we're at right now. 365 here. And look, this is, we're oversold here. We're at about 16. We're still above the 200 MA. So even if we pull back and test this new level of support, you can see it's around where the 200 MA is on the 1 hour. So it does. I look at that confluence, right? So when I've seen that level, I pulled it up on the weekly. But as you see, it's close to the 200 MA. So staying above the 200 MA does signal that it wants to keep going. So even if it comes back and pulls down to support, right? And even if it comes back down more, I mean, how far are we going to get low? Because so just say, for instance, right now, we're at about 366. We take it all the way down to 359, which is the support that we was able to get on the higher time frames. If we pull back all the way back down here and touch this area, this thing is going to get to the point where it becomes extremely exhausted. It's going to be at like 6, 5, 6, 7. So at some point, it's going to have to run again. And with this amount of strength here, if it does come back down and pull back here, it will most likely hold. Especially with SQQQ like being very, very bearish right now, it's more probable that we're going to hold and keep going. And remember, we have this resistance area at 378. So even if we come back, we hold and we push it here, this will probably be the area where you got to be cautious. You got to be very cautious in this area right here, because this is going to be a pretty tough rejection area. You guys can probably write this number. You probably want to write this number down, which is about 379 for QQQ. And look at that. Look at here. It held. It was support. It held it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. It held it as support before it fell through. So here it's gonna be resistance. And what makes the level significant? It was once support. It was once resistance. Then it became support. Now resistance again. Support, resistance, support, resistance. That's what makes the level significant.
Sure.
All right, so that's pretty much what I see. Let's take a look at Apple, because Apple's been running too.
Yes.
All right, so let's start with the higher time frame with Apple though. And you can see Apple's done created new highs. Apple's done created new highs and they broke, because this was the time that we pulled back around this area here. And you can see they rejected. They came down with SPY, but you can see they broke these levels. And you guys can see my levels that I've been working with Apple. They done broke out of the resistance level here. And this is on the higher time frames. This is not on the lower time frames. These are the levels that I created for more long-term positions. But they done broke out of this resistance area. They're creating new highs. So for Apple, right now, this is the new support, because they done broke. This, you see here, this was rejection, which rejection equals resistance, okay? So you have all of this resistance here. You have the resistance here. You finally broke out of it. So what do you think this level will become now once it broke all those resistance walls?
Support.
New support, yeah. So with Apple, it's a high run, but they're at some point they're going to have to pull back. So now this would be your new potential area of entry.
What
For
number?
a more long-term, trade, because this is now the new support. But let's take a look at
What's your number? What's the number?
this is 170. Hold on, what's that? 170, about 174.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's take a look at the weekly here. Yep, you can see here, you can even see it clearly here. Look at all these resistance, rejections, resistance. And even here, they tried to break above, but you can see it's still rejected and came down because we couldn't sustain above this wall here. We barely got to it here and here. Finally, they broke through, hitting a new high. So this would come down, test this new support. But look, if it does come back and test new support, what do you think it's going to create?
It's like a bull flag, like
a bullish flag. Yep. So consolidating from here to here, here to here, here to here, to here to here, until a possible breakout above. I mean, that's what we can see so far because this is a bullish pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, of course, we get something different and it breaks through this support and it falls. Now you broke pattern, but you got to wait, because if this can hold pattern, if it comes down here, if it comes to support, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, and it can hold this area, this is a potential for a break above. But as we know, patterns are just probability, it's just prediction. So the only way to really know for sure is if we can hold these areas and break through. If not, if it falls through the support area, then it's not a flag. It's breaking through that bullish flag. So let's look at the lower time frames with Apple though. Yeah, and look, they're completely overbought too, but they've been going for some time. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Like when stocks stay overbought for some time, especially on the daily, with this run like this, like I would not be surprised if it stayed overbought for some time. Here, it's the lower time frames that will show me if it wants to pull back. Like right now, I can see a chart and I can see strength and weakness almost immediately. And in these equities, I'm still seeing strength. I'm seeing that pullbacks are necessary, are needed because it's, you know what I mean? Like it's running. But overall, the strength is massive, and that's because a breakout is happening on the higher time frames. So right now, for the new support with Apple, for like your daily, for your day-to-day, we're looking at about, technically it's 183.9, but I think that 181 is going to be stronger. Let's look at the 4-hour. And it's still above the 200 MA. When it's above the 200 MA, it's strong. And we're pointing down. That's why I said that I think that this one is going to be more accurate here. Right here, it's pointing down, so it looks like there's some more. It's going to want to pull back a little bit more.
183.
Yeah, I got about. Yeah, let's clear this out. Yeah, 183. Yeah. We got about 183.6.
Okay.
And then you got resistance here. Resistance is at, we're going to take it to this point here, because you can see here rejection. So this is going to be the resistance. So we're going to be 186. What's the ATR on Apple? Is it like $4?
Like $4.
$4. Okay. And that too, guys, when you're looking at your support and resistance for the day, you need to make sure that it matches the ATR too. All right. So we got 183.6 and then 186.2.
Yeah, that sounds right. Like
which is about $3.
Yeah.
$3-4. So you're looking at support resistance. Let's look at the hour. Like, yeah, it's coming down. See, But again, guys, we're still overall, we're pretty strong. So, you know, these lower time frames have to like, you have to have these pullbacks in order for them to like come down so that it can continue to go up. But as long as it's staying above your like right here, like above the 200 MA, it's creating higher lows. That's still signaling strength. And again, because we're breaking out on the higher time frames, you know, we're keeping our strength here in these equities.
Okay. Do you think the New York Fed chair is speaking today? So could that be a catalyst?
It could have, yeah, it could affect the markets. That's why you pay attention to those levels. So even when for the catalyst, and I wish I had a catalyst person.
Yes.
Really kind of, yeah. Yeah, we need a catalyst. I'm gonna have to reach out to one of the guys to see if they can come on and be a catalyst person for us. But with catalyst, guys, remember, catalyst can affect the markets.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to to pay attention to these zones, because even though I have support here and I have resistance here, if we cannot hold the support, we have to go to the next, we have to find the next floor, right? So that's a good point that you made. So if you're not following catalysts and you're just doing like, you know, technical analysis, all you have to do is wait to see if these areas hold. If they don't hold, you know, it's going to take it back at least to the next floor. Yeah. And, you know, that's kind of the way. Hold on, let me see what the next support is. So let me get a good level here. All right, so this is 181.02 and this is 183. So yeah, we'll say this is about $2-3 here. So this is good. All right, so just like in SPY, guys, so right now we're here, okay? This is the floor right now, but if we don't hold this floor, we're gonna have to create a new floor, okay? If we can hold this floor, then more than likely we're taking it to the ceiling, okay? Floor is support, ceiling is resistance. Floor is support, ceiling is resistance, okay? So if we can hold this floor here, then we'll more than likely take it to resistance. If we fall through this floor, and remember, catalysts can affect the markets. Catalysts can affect the market. So, you know, if something comes out and it's, you know what I mean, and the people don't like it, and you get a massive amount of selling, you have to take it to the next floor, which would be here. But once we get here to the next floor, then of course this would come down, and then at some point we have to come up, okay?
Yes.
All right, so that's the only thing that I can recommend for you right now, because I'm not a heavy catalyst trader, guys. I'm more technical analysis because I'm watching. Yep. If we don't hold the floor, I know I have to create a new floor, right?
Yes.
And so forth. And you can see it. I mean, once it gets down here, so say for instance, for the 1 hour, if we get a candle that opens up below this floor and we can't push back through it, that's a sign that it wants to keep going down to the next floor. If we keep getting candles that open above this floor and they're moving its way up, it's because it wants to head up in the direction. So the open and closing of the candles going below these levels or above these levels will really show you where we're heading, okay? And that's really all the advice that I have for you when it comes to, you know, whether these levels want to hold or not, okay? But we do need a good catalyst person. Ruth Ann, I mean, you could take that. You could take that.
I could tell you what's happening. Yeah, I mean, I could make it a point of duty to let you know what's happening.
So what do you have?
Well, the only thing today I know the New York Fed chair is speaking, and then on Wednesday and Thursday, JP Powell is speaking. So that's tomorrow and Thursday. So I will look at more details for you for tomorrow.
Okay. So yeah. So just you know, share with us, you know, what your thought process is. And in the meantime, if we can get someone to come in that's more of a catalyst trader, you know, that could help us. So that way we can put everything together. Because when we were doing the show before, we had some good guys that were really good in catalysts. So what we would do is we would take the technical analysis part and we would like match it with the catalyst. And if it went hand in hand, that's kind of what helped us in the direction. It made it stronger. Okay. And to be honest, my strength is in technical analysis. I like the patterns. I like the charts. I like those things. So, but yeah, that could be something for you to work on, Ruth Ann.
Sure, Desiree.
All right, and then you can see here this midway here, even in Apple. That's funny because even here we're down low. So even if we break below this area, it's going to be so exhausted. So more than likely, this would be the next run up if we cannot hold this floor here.
Right.
All right, so we're not going to go below the 30-minute. 30 minutes low for me. We're gonna 30 minutes is a low time frame, so we're gonna keep it there. But we'll look at what you want to look at, Ruth Ann, this morning, and
Okay.
then yeah, we'll end it here. If anybody else wants to look at some other stocks, we can look at it. But right now we'll look at snow. This is the one?
Yeah, it's snow.
Yeah, snow is, yeah, that's snow had a breakout this month too, but they were just following equities.
Yeah, but do you know what? I like them when they move, I mean, good.
What's their ATR?
You know what? I forgot, but I think it's pretty, they move really quick. You get a lot for a little.
Yeah, they're pretty strong right now. Even in the higher time frames, they're on a breakout. You can even see this is a higher high right here. Yeah, I mean, this is a yeah, higher high. So you can see this last high here, they broke out. This is the next support though on the higher time frames. When they pull back, they're pulling, they're coming. This here,
What's that number? 165?
175.11. Because look at this. This was a rejection, resistance, 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 finally the breakout. So they're breaking out right here.
Right.
I mean, this is the weekly. So yeah, they're breaking out here, created this high. But remember, with breakouts, the resistance will come back down and become new support. Okay. Yeah. So once it does pull back, just watch out for those pullbacks from the smaller time frames. You don't want to be caught up in that flush. But this is your next level here for new potential entry. Okay. We'll look at the smaller time frames to kind of see where we're at right now. That's about 175.7.
Okay, 175.7.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to the daily. Yeah, but this is freaking strong. Look at this shit. Look, you got this low, you got the higher, higher, higher. You see this? Yeah. But I see the strength in the higher time frames where, like, God, I'm telling you guys, when there is a breakout on the higher time frames, these lower time frames, they just go and go and go and go and go and go. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we had that pullback yesterday, which we know. I mean, last week we had the pullback, right? Because we had it with SPY, we had it with QQQ, we had it with Apple, we had it with Snow. But this is all just equities. It's all, following, right? So here, this was about 184.9. Let's see where we're at now. We're at 181.5. So we are opening up lower. Yeah, so we want to pull back. So remember, this is the new support. So 184, we're at about 181 right now. But what's crazy is this 181, you see how this was the rejection area here? Rejection, 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 rejection. So if we don't hold this 181 today, then this is going to be your next floor of 175.
That's a big drop.
Yeah, because it's the next floor. Look at this. This was the consolidation. Look at, and I didn't even see this, but when you're able to just kind of see the levels, you can go down to the lower time frames to see where it was consolidating the most. And look at this here. These are the areas of consolidation in the past. So you have the 174 and 175 to 182, but this is the areas of consolidation. Look at it before the fall through, right? Then we finally bring it back up. We're consolidating in the zone here. We got the rejection, we come back up, we finally break it again, and then we come back up. So this area, if it doesn't hold, more than likely it would come back here because you can see here in the past, these were the resistance areas, you see? I mean, this was resistance, resistance, support, right? Support, support, resistance, right? Breakout. Now, it's broke out of these new levels. Before these resistance areas are now new support, but if it doesn't hold it, this is the next floor. So check the you got to check the ATR on.
Yeah, I need to look.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it though. These are big moves. Look at this move here.
Yes, and it has been big moves.
Yeah. So yeah, you got to be careful. That's why I asked you what the ATR. I know you like those high ATR stocks too.
Yeah, I do, and that's why I like Snow, because you get so much. Like, I've made a lot of money on Snow, so with that breakout, and I did not even wait for it to go. Like, I came out like you, $1 or $2 is still stuck in my head. So and with Snow, that gives you plenty.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So yeah, so you know, in my classes, we talk about finding our support and resistance based on the ATR for the day. So if the stock has like a $4 ATR, then you only need $1 to $2 because you're not trying to get the whole move. ATR is just average true range. It means how many dollars the stock moves per day. So on average doesn't move $6, on average doesn't move $8, on average doesn't move $15, right? So your goals would be based on the average of that particular stock that you're trading. So if you're trading a stock that only moves $4 to $5 a day, it would be irrational to have a $5 goal. That's stupid because now you're trying to get the entire move. Your goal should only, you know, be a quarter or at the max half of the move, right? So if it's a $4 ATR, you only want maybe $1.50, $2 max, right? It's good if it's a $5 or $6 ATR because, you know, $2, $3 move is good, right?
Yes.
So yeah. Nice. But yeah, so here we're on the 1 hour with Snow, same thing. This is the floor as of right now, and you can see we're kind of holding it pre-market. But if we fall, then we got to go down to the next floor, right? We got to go down to the next floor here, which is the 175. But look where it's sitting at. It's sitting right here at the 200 MA, and the 200 MA could be used as support or resistance, you know, depending on where it's at. If it's below the 200 MA, it would be used as resistance. If it's above the 200 MA, it's a good area for support. And you can even see that in the past. Look at this. Look at this. It's below the 200 MA. So what is it being used as? Resistance. This is where it's rejecting. Then it gets here, resistance, rejecting until it breaks. Once it breaks, of course, it falls through here, but it comes back up and it holds it as support. So right now, 200 MA is being used as support until it falls below. So even if we come back down here to the 200 MA and use it as support, it's still strong because it's above the 200 MA. All right, does that make sense?
Yes.
All righty, guys, that's pretty much it for today. These are kind of how the shows are going to be going in the morning time, because what we want to do is we want to look at different stocks that are going to drive the market. I really want to get a catalyst person. Right now, Ruth Ann is going to be our catalyst person, so you have to nurture that area. And what I would like to have, you know, is a good catalyst person along with technical analysis so we can put it together and it kind of helps confirm the direction. Now, we're not psychics. We can't, you know, tell you exactly where we're going in the market, but we can predict it based on probability, you know, based on what we've been doing in the past and where we're at now. And for me as a trader, I like to wait for position. So that's why I like to give you support and resistance areas for potential entries, because you want to make sure that these areas hold before you take a position. And as a trader, you have to be very patient. You can't just, you know, jump into positions without understanding what's happening. You have to wait, and the market will tell you where it's going as long as you're patient enough to wait for it. Okay.
And Desiree, I think I just saw the ATR for Snow as 9.23. So that makes sense.
So 175 to 181. So what's that? 175.
That's like 9. Yeah, that's like right on the money.
Right on the money, baby.
Yeah, 180. Right on the money, baby. Yep.
You know. So, and it's all about finding those zones where that are most that you can see that have been most used. So for me, it's not just the fact that these areas have been rejected. It's the fact that they were support at one time. Then they became resistance. Then they became support again, then resistance, right? So when you can find those gaps, and even like finding the $8-9 gap with snow without even knowing the ATR, that's pretty good, right? But you always want to confirm the ATR with the support and the resistance, especially when you're day trading, okay? But you don't want to day trade unless you understand where the overall trend is, because now that I see that we're having a breakout on the higher time frames, then I'm able to say, okay, we got a lot of strength in the market, so we could potentially keep going. So that helps me with the overall direction. But of course, the lower time frames are going to tell me exactly where we're at in the moment and what we could possibly do for the day, because we're looking at the daily candle, right? But yeah, so again, every day that we do this, the more and more you guys will be able to see more clearer. So you just join us every morning. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. All righty. Well, this is it. If you got anybody got any questions? Nope. Nada. All right, guys. Well, you all have a good day.
You too, Desiree. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye.